Hi everyone, my name's Simon. Today we'll be having fun with this really cool aerial photograph. Hey, well, it's not a photograph, it's a rendering. And as you'll see, we'll learn some really cool details enhancing in this video. So first things first, well, as you can see the image, the overall image is really cool in terms of framing. As you'll see, I still have a couple of comments, but still. What I quite like is basically the overall atmosphere and the way it's sort of animated. There are a lot of things happening. The colors are quite cool. I quite like it, and the sunshine effects here are quite nice. So yeah, the overall image is really cool. First thing I want to say though is I'm a little bit unsure. Like, as you can see, first thing that sort of pops out is the idea here that your verticals are not vertical. And although I know that in terms of physics, we're sitting like on top, like above the actual building, and we're sort of looking downward, sorry. So logically, we should have this sort of effect. The thing is, it sort of makes it look a little weird, and it sits not really nicely in the image. So I would sort of make it perfectly vertical so that it really sits nicely in the image and has some sort of strong anchoring, because here it's sort of half floating. Also, second thing, I guess, it's more subjective here, but when you're dealing with something that is this high compared to the rest of the neighbor, I'd say, I think it would be more interesting to actually have your image a little bit lower, so that basically the idea would be to have your horizon maybe here and have the actual, like you would have the little hills and stuff behind, but still get the idea here that this is something extremely big compared to the rest of the actual surrounding. And the other thing is that you would get some really cool reflection, like proper reflection of the building, because as we'll see, there are some problem with reflection in this image. One thing that also pops out here is that there are, well, we can sort of see that there's quite a lot of post-processing in there, because there are a couple of incoherence or inconsistencies in the image. The main one, I think, is regarding the shadows that anchors the building. Here you can see the shadow just goes like that, and here nothing's happening in terms of lighting, which is which is a bit problematic, because it means the building is not really anchored or doesn't have any effect on the actual surrounding. So what we should be having is something like your level should be a little bit down, and we should create a shadow that would happen somewhere around here, basically. If this is going, yeah, it could actually go all the way up there, and it could actually be a little bit darker than that. So, and then as you know, or should know now, is that shadows are a little bit desaturated, and it changes a little bit of the hue. So as you can see, it does change the way the building sits, and it does change the way it interacts with its surrounding. So that's one thing. Second thing also is regarding the reflection. As you can see here, there are a couple of things that are a bit weird. Like, the good thing is that since we're sitting like always above the overall height of the building, that means our reflection is going to be having its own perspective fleeing point, which means it has to be, just like it is here, shorter than the actual building. But the thing is, there's something weird with the fact that here what is reflected is the sunshine, or the sky, sorry, which cannot really be happening because still the verticals should be working, or in some ways actually. So there's something weird happening here. do have the same problem with this guy here. We do have like some sort of a reflection, but the thing is, as you can see here, we do have the ripple or some sort of noise on the surface, but it's completely lost here. So this is kind of weird because we do have like some sort of nice feathering, if I may say, and here it's like perfectly straight and crisp, which is not how it's supposed to be. Same happens here with this road here, which is not really photoshopped how it should be, because we can still see the trees behind it, so it's a problem of opacity in this case. So that's the main thing, is that this problem you have a couple of inconsistencies with the shadows. Anyway, the other thing I want to talk about is the overall animation. I think there are two problems with it. The first one is, I think it's a little bit too packed. Like, it's a little bit packed, and these dudes are like doing the exact same thing in different ways, but still they're always turning, and they do have some weird scale. And again, the reflection is not really convincing, so that's something that, and well, you see even they're doing the same thing. So that's like, it's just a matter of like just at least flipping them, or just getting rid of these traces there, or I don't know, just try to make them look a little bit different. And also there's a problem of scaling, I think, because this doesn't really look like a small boat, whether this is some sort of like small sail ship. So there are something kind of weird happening. And the two main problems here are this guy and this guy. This guy is kind of a problem because, as you can see, the way the parachute is oriented is not really looking like towards this boat, because these guys are like parasailing. They should be they're sort of towed by the boat here, so they're not oriented properly here in this case. And this guy here, it's like even worse, because as you can see, the perspective is completely wrong, so it's not really adding anything to the image, and it's kind of really like catching the eye, because, you know, we shouldn't be seeing this. Like, as you can see here, we see the top of the deck, whether here we don't see it at all, so that's not good. So that's something you just get rid of it or something like that. Final thing I'm going to talk about is going to be a little bit of meteorology. So something I'm getting kind of picky on it. So it's not like a big problem, but it's just in terms of realism, which is something you sort of want to achieve when you're like in this sort of level. You want to add like the extra thing that makes your image perfect, or at least sort of reaching to it. So the main problem I have is with these little clouds here, or not cloud, but whatever that is. And the thing is, we can see it's used everywhere, and although it could be, I think it cannot be anything. This sort of thing could be like a fog or something like that, but this only happens when you have like a high discrepancy between the temperature in the morning and temperature at night or whatever, and the temperature of the ground and in the air. Whereas here we're obviously in some warm area, so you cannot have this sort of fog. And the problem here is that this sort of really transparent thing would be called something like cirrus or something like that, which is like super high clouds, which is what you actually see here. These guys here, they're actually above the, well, what would that be? Some sort of cumulus or something like that. And basically the way we're standing here, which is sort of maybe 150 meters high, we're not above this kind of clouds, so we cannot see this sort of thing happening. And the other thing regarding what's happening on the horizon here is that it should be happening much, much, much higher, so we cannot see that effect at all. from where we're standing. So even though it does look sort of cool, it's just like it cannot happen in terms of physics. So that's something you might want to keep in mind. The thing you still can do is that it's interesting to decrease the contrast. So if we check out the here, we can use we can play a little bit around with our levels. Sorry, so do that, and then maybe just change it in the background for something like this, and then we're just gonna use that here. This is a little bit what was done, but the thing is, you don't give it like some sort of cloudy look. It's supposed to be more like a Z depth idea of the further you are, the less distinct and the less contrast you get. So that's the idea. It's something like that, but don't make it look like some sort of cloud, because that's never gonna happen. Beside that, I think the overall project is really cool and the image is nice. So if I go there, what can we say in terms of saturation as well? It's pretty nice. Like, we don't have oversaturation anywhere except in the sky, which is logical, and in the reflection of the sky in the water, which is nice as well. And even in terms of colors or color palettes, it's also quite interesting. We do have like interesting tints and variations that are sort of okay, and that makes it quite interesting in terms of dynamic. So I would still, maybe not that much, but still something like that. And yeah, gonna turn that off. Oops. Not really sure where that is. Anyway, I think I'm gonna stop there. Hopefully you've learned some interesting stuff regarding, well, what's happening in the sky, and a couple of things regarding how to properly insert aerial images in your post-prod, on at least what to keep an eye on. And yeah, don't hesitate to comment and or drop by, and yeah. See you next time. Bye, guys.
Tonight,